I am. This broadcast is part one of my intro to D3 screencast. I'm going to try to go through as quickly as possible the crucial enter-update exit pattern, and it will be followed by part two, which will iteratively build out a data visualization with a bar graph. I love that. Okay, here we go. All right, here is the website. This will be up for a little while, and follow through these steps. The library D3 is loaded in, so if you can hit Command-Option-J on your Mac, you'll get the developer console, so you can run some JavaScript. And D3 is loaded in as a global variable, and that's after you load in D3, that's how it's available to you. And it is there on this site for you to tinker with and experiment with and run the examples. Okay. This site, so all the information here is like a distilled version of the tutorials that you can find on the D3 homepage. So definitely go there after this. But if you want someone to talk you through it instead of having to read, stay tuned. All right. Dose. Okay. So the first part of a data visualization is you need data. I got mine from some box office data, which is like dollar amounts that these movies earned. And what happens is I'm going to copy paste this HTML table, and it comes in as a tab separated value string in your text editor. So you just copy this. I've done this before. In your text editor, if you paste this in, it's a tab separated value table. All right, come on. All right, so I've got invisible characters turned on here. You can see this arrow key. It's a tab, and I have. So this is a tab separated value table. If you've used a comma separated value table before, it's the same idea, except for tab is the breaking character. So pleasantly surprised to learn that a tab separated value table, you can get that directly from copying an HTML table. So in data visualization, you need your data to be in a usable format. Happily enough, an HTML table is one that is usable with D3. So part three, pre-processing. You're going to want your data to be in some sort of usable format, and if you're using D3, that means consumable by D3. Here at the bottom is a list of these are the D3 functions that can make background requests. Particular importance is D3.json. Your API is very likely to serve JSON, and TSV is the ones we're going to be using. CSV exists, XML, XMR, HTML returns a document fragment. You could make a single-page app using this request, and pending the document fragments that you get with that request back into the body. I tried that for this site. The UX left too much to be desired. Anyways, if you're out there in internet land watching this, this route does exist. So this is a snippet from my Node server using Express. And response is going to send up an array of JSON elements. Nota bene that the data, D3 will eventually want the data in an array. Some of like TSV, for example, will convert your data to JSON and put it in an array. So this is more of a gotcha. If you're testing this out and your data is not in an array, Keep that in mind. All right, so d3.json. So this is a request that D3 will make a background request, and it'll serve up the data as expected. Right? You get your response. You get these two JSON objects, and they're like perfectly formed, exactly how we sent them from the server. Something to keep an eye on here. You're going to be tempted the first time you write this to have your server send up eggs, bacon. You know, this is going to seem like a good idea. Pancakes, syrup. So that's not going to be a good idea because the like abstract nature that we get from these generic keys is really crucial, because D3 will eventually iterate over these objects as bound data, and the keys have to be abstract. So none of that, none of this. Okay. All right. So D3 will make a background request to get to your router to get the data, and it will format it for you. Okay, so this is the important pattern that you have to understand before you can start playing with D3. It's okay. Yeah, so you might have thought like, hey, I'll use D3. Wait, I don't know how to do it. That's because you did not understand how to do this. So I'm going to try to do this quickly. All right. So if you use jQuery, this should look familiar. Select hash container, ID container. All right, here it is. All right, and it's empty. And so after that, we're selecting all P tags. This is like the big hang-up with trying to learn D3 the first time, is that these P tags like don't exist right now. You're just gonna have to accept that. All right, we'll select all P. So that'll get all of them that are there. If there's none, it'll keep track of the fact that there's none. So we're gonna bind some data to it. I said that it had to be an array earlier, so I'm just creating this array of integers. So that's why I said it had to be an array. The data function is going to expect an array. Then you call it inner. So inner is going to keep, so the selection, so the reason I can chain these together is because a D3 selection is returned from each of them. Okay, it's like the data, the object type is selection, D3 selection. And selection has all these methods, and it returns the same selection that you gave it, but modified as desired. So what inter does is you keep track of this selection, and the selection will pay attention for you to two things. One is the DOM nodes actually returned that you would expect from a command such as select all P, and the other is the data that you're binding. So select all and data are the two things that a selection will keep track of for you. So inner, what does the inner command do? And this is going to make more sense as we go through the update exit pattern and round it back out. So what inner will do, will return, will segment that selection into items that do not have a P tag and there is a data tag. So you're going to select all P and there's 0 of them right now. There's none. So what inner does is looks at what data do I have to which I don't have a P tag. And it's going to remember that. Yes, data, no DOM element for the selection. All right, so that's inner. So inner's, okay. And for each of those, for each item where there is data but not a DOM element, that's what we're getting out here. So we're going to append a p tag, and we're going to set that p tag's text to a function. All right, so and to the string version of the data. So this is a common pattern with D3, is that you call these functions on selections. So text will set the text of it, and you pass it an anonymous function. And the first argument to that function is going to be the bound data. And so this anonymous function is going to return the stringified version of that bound data. The data is bound by index initially. Okay, so I've executed this, and we have appended 5 p tags, each with that piece of bound data. Okay. And the reason this can be a little bit mind-blowing for your on first glance is because this is more of a functional approach. This is not really an object-oriented thing. There's not really like state is the DOM, and what's happening is sort of a stateless procedure. All right, so the update selection will all right. The update will return. All right, select the container, select all p tags, and then bind some new data. So this new data is going to be initially bound by index. So we're selecting all p tags, right? And there's 5 of them. And what we're going to do is bind this data to the p tags. And it will be arranged initially by position in the array. So they come in order. So 1, 2, 3, and A, B, C are now matched up with each other. And 4 and 5 are left out, which we'll see in just a moment. Let me execute this. Okay, select all p tags, bind this new data, and return the data for this text function. What have we done? We've written A, B, C into its first 3 spots. Okay, and exit, we'll round this out with the inverse here. Select container, select all p, bind some new data, and then exit. So we're binding the data to ABC. I mean, we're binding the first 3 elements are going to get the data rebound to them, and exit is going to be these elements that have not had new data matched to them, and it's going to return those for you. And we've set their style to red. So D3 will both set these selections up for you. Like, it's going to get you a hold of the correct DOM node, and it's also going to allow you to call some functions on those nodes that will make altering the DOM a lot easier. I would definitely refer you to the official documentation on this if you want to read instead of watch and listen. Mike Bostock, the creator of D3, has some really good tutorials written. And what I'm doing is basically paraphrasing him. Okay, so that is the very fast version of the enter, update, exit pattern. I've created this only for the purpose of supplementing the following video, which is to iteratively build out a data visualization. All right. Check out the D3 official tutorials. They're wonderful. Thank you.